Welcome back to Top List. No filmmaker did more to define the look of American cinema than John Ford. Across more than 50 years behind the camera, he turned Monument Valley into myth, made the Western an art form, and drew unforgettable work from legends like John Wayne, Henry Fonda, and Maureen O'Hara. Today, we are counting down the 10 greatest John Ford movies ever made, from grand frontier epics to tender dramas that brought him a wall full of Oscars. If you love old Hollywood at its finest, do us a favor and hit that like button, hit subscribe, and tap the hype button if YouTube offers it to you. The trail is wide open. Let's ride out. 10th place. She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, 1949. Rare among Ford Westerns for its rich technicolor, and the color is a big part of why it still feels alive today. A weathered captain rides out on one last patrol before retirement, hoping to keep the peace on the frontier while time runs out on his career. Ford and his cinematographer Winton Hawke modeled the look on the paintings and sculptures of Frederick Remington, filling the frame with riders in dusty blue against the towering red rock of Monument Valley. The cinematography won an Academy Award, and nearly every frame makes it clear why. John Wayne, playing a man far older than himself, gives one of his warmest and most tender performances. Warm, beautiful, and quietly moving from the first ride to the last. 9th place. Young Mr. Lincoln, 1939. Long before the top hat and the history books, Abraham Lincoln was a gangly young lawyer learning how to carry himself in court and in public life. That is the man Ford gives us here, with Henry Fonda stepping into a role he was at first unsure about, then making it feel natural and lived in. The plot turns on Lincoln's defense of two brothers accused of murder, while an angry crowd calls for a swift verdict and one calm attorney stands in the way. It blends courtroom tension with gentle humor and homespun warmth. The case is not wholly invented, but loosely drawn from a real Lincoln murder defense. Fonda makes Lincoln warm, witty, and quietly firm, hinting at the leader he would later become. 8th place. The Quiet Man, 1952. This was Ford's love letter to Ireland, a project he pursued for years before any studio would take it on. An Irish-born boxer leaves America behind and returns to the green village of his childhood, hoping to buy back the family cottage and find a little peace. What he finds instead is a fiery red-haired woman, a hot-tempered brother blocking his path, and a town full of old customs he has half forgotten. The whole film glows with humor, romance, and the rich Irish countryside captured in vivid color. It famously builds toward one of the longest and most good-natured brawls ever filmed. Ford won his 4th Best Director Oscar for it, a record no one has matched since. 7th place. Fort Apache, 1948. The first chapter of Ford's celebrated cavalry trilogy opens with a proud new commander riding into a remote desert outpost with a chip on his shoulder. He wants glory. He wants a war with the Apache, and he will not listen to the veteran officer who truly understands the land and its people. That clash, played by Henry Fonda and John Wayne, drives the drama toward a tense and tragic end. What makes the film stand apart is its sympathy for Native Americans, a bold move for its time, and its sharp look at how myths are made and how lies take root. Handsome, intelligent, and quietly angry beneath the action, it remains one of Ford's most thoughtful westerns. 6th place. My Darling Clementine, 1946. Ford takes the famous showdown at the OK Corral and slows it way down, turning a legendary gunfight into something patient, melancholy, and deeply human. Henry Fonda plays Wyatt Earp as a quiet lawman who pins on a badge in the rough town of Tombstone after tragedy hits his family. Much of the movie has little to do with gunfire at all. It lingers on haircuts, a Sunday dance, a tender romance, and an uneasy bond with a doomed tubercular gambler. When the violence finally arrives, Ford drops the music and lets the wind and scraping boots carry the tension. Filmed in stark black and white against Monument Valley, it remains one of the most beautiful westerns ever made. Fifth place. How Green Was My Valley, 1941. The film that famously beat Citizen Kane for Best Picture remains one of Ford's most heartfelt achievements. Told through the eyes of a young boy, it follows a close-knit Welsh coal mining family through years of joy, hardship, and quiet change. The mines bind the family together and pull it apart as labor unrest, accidents, and lost love test the bonds between parents and children. Ford could not film in wartime Wales, so he built an entire mining village in the California hills and filmed it in luminous black and white. It won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Director. Warm, mournful, and beautifully made, it lingers like a fond memory of a home that time has carried away. Fourth place. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, 1962. Late in his career, Ford turned back and questioned the very legends he had spent decades building. A respected senator returns to a dusty frontier town for a funeral, and reporters press him to explain his bond with the dead man. What follows is told in flashback, the tale of a bookish young lawyer, a tough local rancher, and the cruel outlaw who terrorized them both. James Stewart and John Wayne share the screen for the first time, playing 2 very different kinds of courage. Filmed in stark black and white on enclosed sets, it trades open vistas for something more intimate and reflective. It gave us one of the most quoted lines in movie history. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. Third place. Stagecoach, 1939. This is the movie that made John Wayne a star and lifted the Western out of cheap Saturday matinees into serious filmmaking. A group of strangers climb aboard a coach bound across dangerous frontier country, each carrying secrets, old grudges, and reasons to be afraid. Among them is a charming young outlaw, played by Wayne in the role that changed his life. As the journey grows tense and the threat of attack draws near, the tight quarters force these mismatched travelers to reveal who they truly are. It was Ford's first film shot in the towering landscape of Monument Valley, a setting he would return to again and again. Thrilling, sharply drawn, and widely imitated, it set the pattern for countless adventures to come. Second place. The Grapes of Wrath, 1940. Ford brought John Steinbeck's beloved novel to the screen with raw power and aching compassion. The story follows a poor farming family driven off their Oklahoma land during the Dust Bowl, loading everything they own onto a battered truck and heading west toward the promise of work in California. What they find instead is hardship, prejudice, and broken promises. Yet they refuse to lose their dignity. Henry Fonda gives one of his finest performances as a paroled son slowly awakening to injustice, while the family's steady mother holds everyone together. Filmed in haunting shadow and light, it captures the pain of the Great Depression without ever feeling hopeless. It won 2 Academy Awards, including Best Director, and still carries enormous emotional weight. And in first place is The Searchers, 1956. Many consider this the greatest Western ever made, and its shadow reaches across decades of cinema. John Wayne delivers the boldest and darkest performance of his career as a bitter Civil War veteran who sets out on a years-long hunt for a niece abducted during a Comanche raid. What begins as a rescue slowly turns into something far more troubling, as his obsession and prejudice threaten to consume him. Ford films the vast desert landscape with breathtaking beauty, then uses that grandeur to make one haunted man look small and lost. The famous final shot, framed in an open doorway, has been studied and copied endlessly. Filmmakers from Scorsese to Spielberg to Lucas have pointed to it as a lasting influence. Powerful, complex, and unforgettable. And there you have it, our picks for the 10 greatest films John Ford ever made. A body of work that defined the Western and so much more. Now we want to hear from you. Which John Ford film is your personal favorite? And did your number one make our list? Drop it in the comments below. We read every single one, and your thoughts truly help guide the videos we make, so never hold back. If you enjoyed this countdown, give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe for more, and tap the hype button if YouTube offers it to you. You will also find links to physical and digital editions of these films down in the description, perfect for building out your own collection. And if you want to go a step further, consider joining the channel for early access to new videos, member discounts on merch, and other perks along the way. While you are at it, swing by the merch store and grab something that shows off your love of classic cinema. Until next time, keep the campfires burning and the great films rolling.